Up here at Angel's Landing in Zion National Park. Pretty amazing spot. Neat hike up here. Little exposure on the way up. There's the East Rim Trail. Climbing out of the canyon, that's where Charles and I finished. We hit those switchbacks with about 10 miles to go. Coming in with a quick recap on the FKT run yesterday. Give you a few of the details. So we started yesterday morning at 7:09 a.m. west side of the park at the Lee Pass trailhead. Started off, got a decent downhill at the start. Kind of cruised down, didn't want to go too hard to crush my legs. Good conditions there, running down Timber Creek. Trail crisscrosses the creek. There was a little water in the creek, but not too much, so I was able to keep my feet dry. After a few miles, I hung a left and turned up Laverkin Creek. Another great drainage, beautiful canyons on both sides. Trail in there got a little sandy. That was kind of the first sandy area of many out on the course. So cruised up Laverkin Creek till about mile 6.7, then hung a right and climbed steeply to the south into the Hot Valley Trail. That was the first of a number of steep climbs on the day. Felt pretty good and charged up that. Came over a rise and found myself in Hot Valley, which was an awesome place. Really neat valley, kind of running up gradual climb up a stream. There was some water in there, so feet got pretty wet, kind of crisscrossing that creek, and popped out again, out on some sandy trails by the Hot Valley trailhead, and then cut across on the Connector Trail, and met my crew for the first time at the junction of the Connector Trail and the Wildcat Trail. They had hiked in about a mile there to that junction. Sounds like they almost missed me. They weren't sure if they were in the right spot or not, and but we connected with each other and got the goods. Got 2 more bottles of Vitargo and a bottle of water, and took off on my way. Kept cruising up the Wildcat Canyon area, neat spot in there, and soon enough found myself at the high point, which is where the Wildcat Canyon Trail meets the West Rim Trail. Hung a right and cruised down up on top of the West Rim. That was one of my favorite places. The ground was covered fairly quickly. A lot of it was a nice gradual downhill on a well-packed trail, so I could keep a decent pace in there. Coming around the corner there on the West Rim Trail proper, got a neat video kind of looking back towards this area down on the canyons and cliffs and stuff. Just a awesome spot right there, right at campsite number 5 on the West Rim Trail. Maybe the best view in the whole place. Kept cruising around and found myself at the junction of the West Rim Trail and Telephone Canyon Trail, kind of right on the edge of the West Rim. I think there's the cabin spring, maybe it is there. I was at 4:33 right there, and ready to start pounding my legs on the descent. So hung a right and cruised down, steep downhill for a couple thousand feet, coming past this Angel's Landing area and down to the grotto. I got to the grotto, I think it was 5:16 on the clock. Met Charles and Nick on that bridge, grabbed a couple more Vitargo bottles, and picked up Charles. Charles was going to do the last 12 miles with me for a little companionship. I thought it would be nice to have someone to talk to, but kind of realized at that point I was over talking to anyone, and we really only said about 2 words to each other the whole way, but it was nice to have someone with me anyway. I also picked up my hiking poles there, and I was glad to have those because we cruised up went up the road about a mile and then hung a right on the East Rim Trail, and another steep climb coming out of there, a couple thousand feet. So those poles really came in handy. And that was definitely a challenging section, both dropping into the grotto and then climbing back out. Having that at the end of the journey was tough. I had thought about doing the other way, the east to west, as kind of has been traditionally done. But I sort of figured that that would be the most challenging part, and I thought, well, if I do that right at the start, I might kind of pound my legs right off the bat. So I might as well save the pounding for the end and just have a bit of suffering mixed in. But it was also a very cool part of the run as well. You know, spectacular views and experience going up and down the canyon. So I think for me it was the right choice. So anyway, Charles and I headed up the east rim. Going up that climb, took it fairly conservative. Really power hiking. You know, I was at the point where I felt like I could have really charged up it if I wanted to, but there was potential risk of going into the tank after that, and I kind of calculated that if I power hiked it fairly conservatively, that I should still be under the time, and ended up being right. We got up onto the east rim. I don't know what it was, maybe another 7 miles or so, kind of on rolling trail, some sand, some packed, and cranked it out and found ourselves at the finish. Ended up at 7:27:46, and it was a good day. You know, good. Like I said, nice to finish with my buddy Charles. Thanks also to friend Nick. He was out crewing as well, and thanks again to the support from Batargo, from my family, my buddy Ryan Habe back in Evergreen. Thinking about you a lot out there, and good time overall. So if anyone else is thinking about going for the FKT here, get in touch with me. Love to share with you experience or recommendations or whatever. I think the record can I think time can be shaved off it. You know, like I said, especially charging up that hill at the end. I think if you hit that feeling good and really run that hard, there's some time to be gained there, and just throughout it. So be interesting to see what happens in the future. Alrighty, from Angel's Landing, I'll give you one last view around here. Pretty neat spot, Zion National Park.